In the heart of the city stood a mansion that gleamed with wealth but echoed with silence. It belonged to Richard Hale, a powerful millionaire whose empire stretched across continents. Yet, behind his success was a wound no money could heal. His 6-year-old son, Ethan, was born deaf. Doctors had told Richard that Ethan would likely never hear again. Since his wife's passing, Richard poured himself into work, burying his sorrow in numbers, meetings, and endless business trips, leaving Ethan in the care of house staff. One day, desperate for help, he hired a new maid named Clara, a quiet young woman with kind eyes and a gentle spirit. She had no fancy degrees, no polished background, just an unshakable warmth that made people feel seen. From her very first day, Clara noticed something no one else did. Ethan didn't just live in silence, he lived in loneliness. The mansion was full of people, but not one soul truly communicated with him. The boy would sit by the window every day, watching other children play outside, tracing shapes on the glass with his fingers. Clara's heart ached. That night, while cleaning the library, she found an old book on sign language. Without telling anyone, she took it to her small room and began to study it late into the night. Every evening, she practiced in front of the mirror, repeating gestures, learning how to express emotions without sound. A week later, Clara tried something no one else had dared. She knelt in front of Ethan and gently signed, "Hello." The boy's eyes widened. He hesitated, then shakily signed back, "Hi." For the first time, Ethan smiled. From that moment, something magical began. Every day, Clara spent time teaching him new signs: happy, thank you, love. The mansion that once echoed with silence now pulsed with a new kind of music, the rhythm of hands, hearts, and hope. Richard barely noticed the change at first. He was too busy chasing profits, too focused on meetings to see his son blossoming before his eyes. But one evening, he came home earlier than usual and froze in the doorway of the living room. There was Ethan, laughing silently, communicating with Clara with such joy that his little face glowed. Richard had never seen that kind of happiness in his son. He watched, speechless, as Clara patiently taught him to form words with his lips. D, Ethan tried to say. Richard's heart stopped. Tears filled his eyes as he rushed forward and held his son tight. For the first time, Ethan tried to speak again. His voice was shaky, but real. "Dad." Clara's eyes shimmered with emotion. It wasn't magic, it was love, patience, and faith. The next morning, Richard called the best doctors in the country. They examined Ethan and were stunned. His hearing, though limited, had begun to return slowly, something they thought impossible. "It's incredible," one doctor said. "It's as if his brain is reawakening to sound." But Richard knew the truth. It wasn't medicine that healed his son, it was the human connection he had been missing. Over the weeks, Richard began to change too. He canceled meetings to spend more time at home. He watched Clara and Ethan communicate with hands that spoke louder than words. He realized that his millions could buy everything except love, and this humble maid had given his son something money never could, a voice. Richard asked Clara one evening, "Why did you do it? Why care so much for my son when you could have just done your job?" She smiled softly. "Because I know what silence feels like. I grew up deaf until I was 8. Someone once believed in me. I just wanted to do the same for him." Richard was speechless. He had hired her without knowing her past, yet fate had brought her to heal what no doctor could. Months passed, and Ethan improved more and more. The day he put on his small hearing aid and heard the sound of his father's voice clearly for the first time, he cried and hugged Clara tightly. "I can hear you," he whispered. Richard knelt beside him, tears streaming down his face. "You're my greatest miracle, son. And Clara, you're our angel." From that day, the mansion was never silent again. Laughter filled the halls, love filled their hearts, and Richard made sure that Clara was never just a maid, she became part of their family. The men who once lived in the noise of success finally found peace in the quiet power of gratitude. And Ethan, the boy who once lived in silence, grew up to teach other children who couldn't hear, because one woman dared to care. Forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more.